All right, boys and girls, welcome to In the Bush. Today, we're at a new campsite. I hiked all the way out here with a very heavy load of gear. We got quite a bit of snow on the ground and temperatures dropping down into the 20s tonight. So I'm up for the challenge. This is the next logical step in my progression towards wintertime survival and all year round survival for that matter. So let's not hesitate. Let's get started. Well, I kind of got busy constructing and I forgot to film. So here's where I'm at. I haven't got too far yet, but I did 2 bipods on the ends, 2 poles, and then I ran 2 poles through the Hutchins roll and tied the ends together to pull the Hutchins roll tight around the other 2 poles. So kind of like what I did with the cot in the last video if you watched it. Anyhow, I did do something a little different and a little clever here. Here you can get a better idea of what I did. I tied the ends of the 2 poles together and made several loops. And then I put a toggle stick in here and twisted it to pull the Hutchins roll tight together. I hate sag, so that's what I'm trying to alleviate. All right, let's give this a try. Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah, this will work. It's a little more narrow than I'd like, but it'll do the trick. Heck yeah. I'm pretty happy with this. If I were staying out here multiple nights, I would figure out a way to make it wider. So many of you are probably asking, why didn't I just run the poles through the Hutchins roll and call it good and set it down on the A-frames? The reason I didn't do that is because I hate sag. I absolutely hate sag. And it's just impossible to get it tight when you do it that way. So by tightening the poles together, I can keep this nice and tight. I like a firm mattress, I really do. See, just getting off of it, now there's a bunch of sag. So I'm gonna have to go to the ends and tighten up the things. Check it out. This is a 9x12 blue tarp. This is how small you can wrap one of these bad boys up if you work on it to get it nice and tight. I'm pretty impressed. You could easily carry a couple of these in your pack if you needed to. Well, shelter is up. I need to do some refinements and some adjustments, but I can do that later when it's dark. Now I need to focus on firewood. There's tons of it around. I'm actually going to go further out and get firewood and leave the dead stuff that's within 20-30 feet of my campsite here for later, because I can get in at night without having to go too far from camp. So that's the plan. Shelter is made. We have a bed. So the next logical step in this kind of weather is get a fire going. Wait. I said logical step. Yeah. Today's step 2 is a back pocket hazy double dry hopped IPA. Nice and cold. I need a second opinion. Yeah, not much. No, it's okay. All right, on to firewood. Everything is covered with snow. So when all the branches and everything is covered with snow, you have to be a little more creative when it comes time to find tinder. But some of this stuff has been protected. I see several sticks here that do not have snow on them, and you want to listen for a good crisp break. It's nice and cold, so oh, that's just like crumbling. That will burn easy. So you just have to get creative. A lot of this pencil lead size stuff, great for starting a fire. You just want a good clean break like that. That was a good break. Yep, this is good stuff. This is a piece of fat wood. This is my first time using fat wood on In the Bush. Fat wood comes from a pine tree, and obviously you can't get them on this property because I don't have any pine trees. But we're going to scrape some shavings off of this, and I'm going to show you how well it works for a fire starter. Fat wood is wood from the inside of a dead pine that is soaked with pine resin, and the pine resin is like an oil and it's highly flammable. So I'm just going to scrape some scrapings off of this, some shavings like so, and put them in my bird's nest like that. You know, this is the first time I've ever had to set my beer by the fire to keep it from freezing. So what I did to just make things easier is I just drug a bunch of dead pieces up here. And that way it can be dark and I can sit next to the fire and cut them up into firewood or do whatever. Burn them into whatever I need to do. I went ahead and built a reflector wall because I was having a lot of trouble with the smoke in my eyes. And reflector walls help give the smoke a path upwards to help create a vacuum, basically, so the smoke can go away. And it did help. And then what I did was I moved my reflector. I moved it to the north wall, or to the north side of my shelter, and that way it blocks the north wind and reflects some of the heat back from the fire. And then over here I got all the firewood processed. This is near the head of my bed, and over here all I have to do in the night is reach over, grab a stick and throw it on, and I cut everything is about 4 feet long or so, or even longer, some of them. So great stuff for a long fire. We're going to be roasty toasty tonight. Oh my god, this piece of So there you have it. An easy, warming, very tasty, simple to throw together in the bush chili mac. Very, very good. That worked out pretty good. Easy bush meal there. Couple things. This, the bedroll cook set, I am not impressed. I don't think, to me, it's not worth the weight, the added weight to your pack. Here's the problem right here. This thing is just not long enough. And when you have frost in the ground like this, and the campfire melts at and turns the ground into mud, you could stick this all the way in the ground, and it still isn't going to be good. And then, how do you, it's just not long enough. Maybe I'll see if I can get a longer rod. In fact, I have some metal rods at the house. But anyway, as you've seen before, I just got fed up with it and tossed it, and I just set my containers directly on the coals, and it works just fine. One of the things I'm trying to do now is reduce weight in my pack, and so I had a really bad day the other day. I was gonna go camping, and I had everything loaded up in the trailer and all kinds of gear, and the four-wheeler quit running on me. And so we're back to battling with that four-wheeler. We don't know if we're gonna keep it. We don't know if there's going to be another four-wheeler over here for a while. And I looked at the market, and I can't afford anything that's out there right now. They just want way too much money for them, and I'm not going to pay it. So I'm in a situation where I have to come to terms with the fact that even going to my cabin, when there's snow on the ground, I can't drive to my cabin. When there's snow on the ground, I can't drive anywhere on anything off-road, really. So I'm going to have to hike everywhere I go. I'm going to have to bring everything with me in a backpack, at least until probably March. And that's if March is nice to us. So that is what it is. I was pretty bummed the other day, but I'm coming to terms with it, and I'm going to deal with it the best I can. And it just is what it is. So it's going to be hard to do extravagant campouts with a lot of gear during the wintertime. Anyway, I'm just having one of those nights where the smoke just won't leave me alone. Okay, so I want to talk to you real quick about the future of In the Bush. It's been almost a year since I started In the Bush now, and things are going to be a little different moving forward. I just started a new music project, and it's going to account for a lot of my time. So what I'm going to do is probably less overnighters. In the Bush episode does not have to be an overnighter. I've just been doing a lot of overnighters lately because I've had a lot of time off and been able to do it, but that's going to change. I'm going to be working more here in the next, over the next course of the next year or so. So with that being said, I'm going to do more one-offs, and I'm going to do more bush projects. So for example, I have my trappers camp in the Cedars. You might see me out there building on that and improving on that, and we still might cook something delicious, but I might not stay the night. Same with the cabin. I'll be doing cabin updates. I'll be updating you on what I'm doing there. And then in all my other campsites as well, I'd like to make improvements. I'd also like to work on some trails, and I need to build a couple bridges. So there's going to be some fun episodes ahead, but probably less campouts, less overnighters, but there'll be more bushcrafty projects. I think I've proven to the world and myself that in an emergency situation, I can survive the night. I can sleep outside. I think now I want to turn my focus to learning more bushcraft skills, and less on the pure, hey, here's what's in your pack, go out in the woods and survive kind of deal. So that's kind of where I'm going to turn my focus. I'm going to kind of steer the ship over to more bushcraft projects and that kind of stuff, and because I'm going to have less time to do actual campouts, I might just have an afternoon and an evening or something, but that'll give me enough time that I can still do some things. We're still going to do some camping, don't get me wrong. We'll do plenty of camping, but one of the things I'm going to do is direct things a little more towards some cool projects. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to sit here and stare at this fire because it is nice and roasty, toasty, warm. All right, well, I am hitting the sack, literally, hitting the sleeping bag. New gear day. I don't know if you can see that. This is a Wiggy's Hunter Antarctic sleeping bag. It is rated, get this sleeping bag is rated down to -60 Fahrenheit. I'm going to put it to the test today at only about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So, it's supposed to be really good. The downfall is, it's huge. The stuff sack for this sleeping bag is the same size as my backpack. The good news is it was light though, but it's definitely not a backpacking kind of sleeping bag. You can really get down in it. It's big, and it's got the cinch hood thing, so I can really cover up with this, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. I hope it works good, because this thing was not cheap. But anyway, I'm excited to try it out. Wiggy's, made in USA. Ah, coffee time. That's right. So, let's talk about this shelter and kind of what I did here. This isn't my original idea or what I had planned for doing in this location, but time was the major factor. So, we went with two A-frames between two trees, or two bipods between two trees, and then two poles, and did an improvised cot with the Hutchins roll. And then we took a 9x12 tarp, curled it under and around. And this does open and close, just like my one back at the old pond did. But what I like about this one is the fact that the tarp curls around and goes underneath the bed. That also holds some of the heat in, but it also gives you a dry spot to put some of your gear, some of your stuff. What I wish I would have done different. There's something I wish I would have done different. I wish I would have made my bipods shorter and smaller and put the bed itself closer to the ground and put this beam behind me lower. The whole shelter was so tall that it really wasn't very efficient at holding the heat in from the fire. I stayed warm, but I would have been cold had I not had such an awesome sleeping bag. Another issue that I've had, and I don't know if it's just the wood that I'm burning or the location or what, but smoke has been in my eyes during this entire camp out. It's really, really, really annoying. I've been breathing smoke, and it's been in my eyes, and it's just been constantly getting up under here. And I don't know if I'd have changed the design a little bit, if that would have helped. The sleeping bag. The new sleeping bag is absolutely awesome. There were several times the fire completely died out, and I just let it. It didn't really matter. When you were in that sleeping bag, it didn't matter if there was a fire or not. You were warm. So here you have it. Bushcraft camp in the woods, chili mac, a little cowboy coffee. Oh, real quick before I go, there is something that I want to talk to you all about. I've been watching the series Alone, and I've learned a ton from it. It's first, right off the bat, I almost turned it off because it's cheesy, and it looked like they were told to say certain things, you know, and typical reality TV. But the more I watched it, the more I realized there is a lot that can be learned from Alone. And one of the things that I've always heard in the survival community is a man is not an island. And in other words, you can't go through life alone. You can't do everything alone. Now, I love my solitude and my alone time. As I said before, I enjoy hanging out with me. But a man is not an island, so we must keep in mind that we, in a survival situation for sure, we're dependent on a communal aspect to things. The biggest thing on Alone was they were just having so much trouble getting and keeping food. And I got to thinking, you know, if there was a community of people, there's no problem getting and keeping food. So we really rely on each other for survival. Anyway, I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Learned a little bit from the series Alone, and it really made me realize that 100 days in the woods or wherever, that would be pretty hard to do. And almost in the season that I watched, almost everybody that quit because of health reasons. So that proved to me that a lot of people would die in the first 100 days. There are a lot of people that would die after only 30, 40 days. That's pretty crazy when you think about it. I think a lot of us think that we're just gonna, if things get bad, we're just gonna take off and go into the woods with our backpack and survive. And I'm guilty of thinking that way too. I've thought, oh, I'll just live in the woods. I'll live on the run. You know, they can't catch me. Well, you don't realize how hard that life really, really is. And a lot of people are guilty of that thought. I think it crosses everybody's mind at some point. Well, I'll just go live in the woods. But yeah, you might only make it 30 days before you die. You need other people. If you're going to live in the woods, make sure you have like 8 or 10 other people that are going to live in the woods with you. And then you'll still probably die.